Hello, welcome to a special edition of Property Question Time. My name's Stephen Galpin and I'm joined today by two property entrepreneurs, international trainers, coaches and mentors to a lot of people. Tricia Harvey, welcome.
Thank you.
Mark Harvey, welcome.
Hello.
Good to have you on the programme. And now I want to start off with a bit of a technical question. You're into property development and providing service for your tenants. So do the panel think that in general we've lagged behind in this country in providing up-to-the-minute installations in new developments, offering high-speed internet connections and the like? Internet, for instance, can now be broadcast by a satellite rather than expensive wiring through a building, and phone lines are virtually obsolete. What do the development experts see as the future in this regard?
What, just internet?
Well, no, I think it's general services. I mean, we can.
It's the tech.
It's the tech, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Like, how far do you go before it becomes an unnecessary expense? Because there's things like USB sockets, right? So the builder says, do you want USB sockets because it'll be, really good for people? And I said, but how long is it going to be before that changes? Like cassette to then CD.
Changes from type B to type C.
Yeah,
connection. Yeah,
I just said no. Let's just stick with the 3-pin. I think certain tech, like the special lights in properties, and I think things that make it easier and nicer place to live for the tenant, definitely is worthwhile to integrate if it's cost effective. Because remember, like, you could be a real tech fanatic personally, but when you're doing property investment as a business, you can't be emotionally involved like that. So you can't, because by just going for it and doing all of this stuff, if it wasn't in your original numbers, then you're going to lose money, and that's not the game. So yeah, absolutely, if it's going to add value and it's going to make somebody's experience of living in your property nicer, add that in if it makes sense cost-wise. But if it's just the silly tech, always analyse, I think, how long is this going to be a thing? Is it a fad, or is it worthwhile to put this in? Because everything I do, certainly, because I as well as our own portfolio that we build, we have a very successful project management company. So I'm dealing with design most days with these properties, and it's all about timeless. Especially for a hold strategy, because you want to make it as cheap as possible to maintain the trend, and in and out, when tenants are moving in and out, get in there, do a quick bit of touch up on the paint, and you're through. Whereas a lot of people now I'm seeing are doing these huge design kind of garage like feel and arty for all these rooms, which is cool and I love it, but I'm like, that's you're gonna have to redecorate that whole room and theme within the next couple of years, because that will totally go out of fashion. So I think it kind of, what's your...
I think when it comes to like the design, making it desirable is a fine line. Don't get emotional that you want to live there yourself.
Yeah.
Because like you say, your taste is going to be different to the next person's, but it's got to be done to a level where, because especially where people are configuring either fit in a certain number of flats or fit in a certain number of rooms in a HMO, you can get stuck in almost like a transactional thing of like, it's Tetris, I'm just trying to fit it in. And people are trying to hit like minimum room requirements and things like that, where it's like, okay, so you hit the requirements, but at the end of the day, is it desirable for someone to live there? Can furniture be placed in this way? So like the same thing goes for, this high-speed internet and all the rest of it. What makes it desirable? Like where we have USB sockets, I get the change, but then there's always going to be an adapter out. So whether you have them or not, again, it's like, what's your style? Who's the audience? Is the demand for that type of audience in that area? So, but I think, internet is essential.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No.
Yeah, and good speed internet.
Would good speed internet affect your rental return?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely, because a lot of people that potentially you're renting to could work from home. So like, I know for one of our tenants, for example, when we had one of our first properties, our property was her main choice because we had 350 meg business broadband. She was like, I need that because I work from home on so many days.
There is that, but I'll also tell you, it's like the psychology of it is, like, things go wrong, that's for sure. So when things go wrong, obviously there's a nice place, but then something goes wrong. When something goes wrong, the psychology of any human being is, now I'm going to start looking for that. You know, if now I want an excuse to either complain or, you know, why justify to myself why living here is not good for me anymore. So like if, you know, something happens, the shower leaks and the internet doesn't work, you know, and, you know, someone else don't take the bin, like all those things start adding up. So I think by just plugging the hole, because it's cost effective enough to have high speed, does it directly affect it? I think it's unmeasurable to say, does it affect the rent or not? But it's just another tick, or it's another thing that can't be complained about, or it's slow, or my TV, you know, who knows what people are running these days? People are running TVs, streaming videos, downloading stuff, mobile phones, FaceTime, all of that stuff.
Netflix,
Yeah,
like
so
that.
it's like,
all
it's just another thing.
Well, I think I got caught out the other day. I had a moan at my internet company, and they said, "But you do realise that you've got 22 items chimed into your router, don't you?" And I thought, "Do you know what? Yes, I have. It's TVs, it's phone, it's PC,
so many, and you
laptops,
just think,
know.
you don't think about it, do you?
You don't, no.
I was. What's hilarious? So recently we moved to our new property, and we have a lot of our businesses are online, and the internet in this house is horrendous.
Was
Horrendous. But we literally only have it in a section of the house where you can get it, and the rest of it you just have to go on 4G. It's hilarious.
Right.
I just think when you're in a really remote location and they want to come and run lines in, so that's expensive.
That's a good lesson to realise that what people might take for granted. Because if they've moved from a house or living at home and then they're coming here, like to a HMO or to a different area, it's like what they once took for granted. Like everyone walks in now almost with the phone in their hand. Like you're walking into a place with a phone in the hand, and it's like, where's the Wi-Fi? As if it's like must be there.
Courtney does it. Our daughter.
Courtney walks into a restaurant. She's like, "Where's the Wi-Fi?
What's the Wi-Fi password?" You know, and we're like, "Oh my god."
Like, why do you need
happens?
Wi-Fi? It's like, "Oh, my game needs Wi-Fi." This is crazy. So
just on this subject, your people that you get involved with when you're mentoring, when you're coaching, when you're giving guidance on the property business, what's the typical profile of somebody that comes to seek your advice?
I think everybody's very different. I don't think there's a typical profile other than just somebody that really wants to succeed and is really open to receiving help. So it's the people that aren't, and it is difficult because initially they have a big ego, and being told to do things differently to how
some people, but that's not the typical. What's the typical? The typical person is someone who is interested, already open to, oh wow, how can I use property investing to be a vehicle for financial freedom?
I think my question probably is rather more this. I think for too many years we've all been guilty of assuming that just because we buy property we're going to make money.
Oh yeah.
Well, the last 20 years has taught people a good lesson in that, one way or another, and there's a lot of people who've lost money on property, a lot of people gone into negative equity, which we've talked about before. And I'm interested to know whether the people that come to you are more interested in a change of lifestyle, an upgrading of their earning potential, or are they interested in property per se?
I'd say there's a mixture, but I think if we narrowed it down to two types of people, either the first type of people totally brand new because they want to brand new to looking for an alternative way to generate income, you know, passive income, you know, all of that stuff, because they've either worked for a long time or they've watched someone else work for a long time and still not really be able to do what they want in their life. So they've either worked or they've seen someone else do it. So they're like, hey, I want to look into this. So totally...
They've kind of had enough.
Yeah, but they're totally brand new to property. And the other type of people...
they've got to a point in their life where they're like, I need to do something else. Yeah. And property is something that they're like, okay, maybe this will work.
Yeah, and then the other type of the person is... They've either, like you say, just because you own a property doesn't mean you're making money. We've got many people who have bought properties before or invested a lot in, you know, training and information and things like that, and then not making any money and not being able to make it work. So then they're the type of people that, we find.
And is the attrition rate quite high? From say you have a room full of 100 people come to see you, how many come back for the next day?
No, the next day.
Yeah, mostly
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
I think it's not necessarily. We say this all the time. It's not necessarily what you're training. It's the way you train, because it's all about them actually going at. Because the way we put ourselves out there and how we deliver is not about them sitting and being like this for however many hours.
It comes down to two things. Yeah. The first thing is, people want to get educated, and the mistake is that like education is information. That's the mistake people make, because that's not actually education. You can only learn something from experiencing it. And when you experience something, you go through a process of a transformation, because you have to become more to then even handle the information. So that's the thing. So like when like if training, you say how many people come back, it's a very high, like we already know if we, let's say we do a 2-day program, we already know that if someone can't make the second day or someone's coming on the second day, we already know like people don't just leave.
All right. Well, look, thank you both very much indeed. That's all we've got time for.